Christopher Columbus was born in 1451 in Genoa, Italy. He was a wonderful explorer who discovered the New World on an expedition sponsored by King Ferdinand of Spain starting in 1492. The first four pictures that you have seen are a picture of Christopher Columbus, Italy, his family, and King Ferdinand, who sponsored his trip. In this documentary, I am going to be comparing and contrasting the first sail in 1492 to his last sail in 1502. Before Christopher Columbus set out on his first voyage, his main goal was to make a route west from Europe to Asia. Instead, he never made it to Asia and found the land of America. Although there were already millions of people living in this new world, Columbus still believed that he had discovered what he thought was a whole new world. Christopher Columbus was out for the fame and the fortune during his voyages, especially during the first voyage. They started their sail in 3 boats, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. These boats were specifically made for Christopher Columbus in his voyage to discover the New World. During the first voyage, Christopher Columbus decided to keep 2 sets of logs, one showing the true distance traveled each day and one showing the lesser distance. They had been traveling for 2 months and were not sure if they were ever going to find land. On Thursday, October 11th, Columbus said in one of his logs, "At 2 hours after midnight, land was sighted at a distance of 2 leagues." The voyage started on August 3rd and took Columbus and the crew 78 days just to get their eyes on land for the first time. On several different occasions, starting in September, Christopher Columbus and his crew started noticing floated vegetation and various types of birds, and that showed that they were getting close to land. They probably didn't realize that it was going to take as long as it did to get to it. The first section of land that they made it to was what we know of today as Haiti, Cuba, San Salvador, Bahamas, and the Turks and Caicos Islands. Then by December 5th, they had finally hit Florida soil. They had found what they thought they were searching for what felt like a whole lifetime in only 2 months, the New World. Then by January, they decided that the journey was turning into a nightmare and decided to head back to Spain. In February, they hit a horrible storm which caused the Nina to seek shelter on the Santa Maria. They finally reached home on March 15th. The first voyage built many tensions that were to remain through all of Columbus's succeeding efforts. In between the first and fourth voyage, Christopher Columbus and his crews continued to discover the new lands. The fourth voyage began on May 11th of 1502. At this time, he had his ships, and their goal was to expand their discoveries to the west of the Caribbean. Sadly, a hurricane put a pause on their journeys, and they were forced to spend a whole year in Jamaica. They ended up making peace with the natives because there was nothing that they could do to continue their sails. The fourth voyage, in most eyes, seems to be a failure considering that they got no further than they had already been, and they had to be rescued and returned to Spain. In fact, it was not a failure because this allowed the crews to make new explorations, mostly along the coast of Central America. There were many positive and negatives to not only the fourth voyage, but all of the voyages that they took. The quote-unquote failure of the fourth voyage just so happened to be the last time that Christopher Columbus would ever sail the ocean blue. Throughout all of Columbus's voyages, they made new discoveries, lost people, made friends with peoples that they did not even know were part of their world, fought with people, found new things, and lost ships. There seemed to be a positive for every single negative. Just think about what the world would be like today if it were not for Christopher Columbus and his dedicated crews making the new discoveries of the new worlds. I think that it is safe to say that the first voyage compared to the last voyage was more successful. They were able to make their discoveries from previous voyages and use them to make more in-depth discoveries. Although most of the voyages seemed to be a nightmare, I believe that regardless of what they thought was bad, they did so much good for the future. Columbus and his crews in the long run appeared to have increased their abilities throughout their voyages. So thank you, Columbus, for taking the time to try to discover the new world, because without you, America would not be America.